the middle of it. I'm Alexis.
I'm Will. So we're gonna take a break from our fruit of the spirit. We were gonna do peace this week, but it's been a week, so we're just gonna take a break from that. And
we're not going to take a break from peace. We're just gonna
we're not taking a break from peace. We're just taking a break from the
we're not careful
from the series, and just kind of talk about life today.
Talk about life.
Yeah, life.
Because
not the cereal.
It's been life this week.
It has. Well, we have now 1 full week of kids back in school. Well, kid back in school. The other one hasn't started yet, but that's college. She can do her own thing.
She still needs a whole lot of us, though.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's okay. It's not that we come into this as experts anyway, but we do like to kind of be prepared.
Yeah.
We do like to do our research if we're talking about God and use biblical references. And we usually record, like Saturday or Sunday?
Yep.
Well, it's Monday. And, okay, here I was like, you know what? I just don't know that I feel like it. And you were like, well, we don't have to. I mean, we're not held to anything. But then I was like, but that's the thing. We do like doing this. I like it. I like what it's done for us.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. And I was like, so I was trying to dig in deeper. Well, why do I feel like this? Why do I not want to do this? And I realized,
what'd you figure out?
It's just life. Life has just made me feel exhausted and trying to figure things out from so many different angles.
Yeah.
And then,
well, I know too, from your perspective with Millie starting back to school,
yeah,
it's a schedule change.
Yeah.
Went from.
I don't like change that much.
Yeah, you don't like change, but you went from very loose summer schedule, if any schedule at all, back to rigid. Millie's got to be on the bus at a certain time. She gets home at a certain time. You got the hours in between to do whatever you need to do.
Well, that is not entirely true. I mean, I know what I should be doing.
Yep.
And I feel torn between I want to go back to work because I want to reinvent myself. But it's not that simple.
Yeah.
And reinventing yourself in your 40s, it's really hard. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be. And I think the women can relate to that at this age. There's so many just hormonal things going on. We're questioning who we are, what we're doing. If you do have a job, you might not even like your job. But see, I kind of have been thrown into this situation.
Yeah.
And I have been working, just the jobs that I've been doing have been more temporary jobs. And now I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready. And all of a sudden it hit me, this isn't what I thought it would be. Being ready is not enough.
Right.
And it's just...
And you say you say you've been looking for 4.5 years, but...
No, I don't know that's... No, I didn't say that.
Well, I mean...
He passed away 4.5 years ago, so I haven't been looking that long.
You haven't... Well, maybe you've been glancing, I guess, for 4 years or so.
No,
but in reality, in that time, you haven't...
I told you that.
Well, maybe. In reality, though, you haven't been ready for it.
No, I'm still kind of not ready.
Well,
and not because of my dad, but if this is your first time listening, my dad passed away, but also our business. We ran a business together. So I try to remember not everyone knows us or listens to every episode. And with that said, though, another reason I do enjoy doing it is I have had people reach out since we've been doing this. It's been a few people here and there. And I really do appreciate, if you are one of those people and you're listening now, I really appreciate you trusting me with your story or whatever you're dealing with to come to me.
Yeah.
It's very humbling. And then we had someone in a whole different country message me. I had to have AI translate it for me, but it wasn't China. It was Japan.
Yeah.
And ask, I'm enjoying your podcast, but how can I have it translated so they can better understand it? And I still haven't really gotten back. I'm like, we are just barely hanging on by threads.
And we've looked into it, and what it would take. We're not at a level to. Well, you can.
Well, someone told me this, and we are on YouTube, so you can go on YouTube. We only have one episode that's fully loaded there, and there's a way to change the language. I think there,
okay.
But
well,
for
good.
us, we've got so much going on, and the point is though that just was humbling to me to think that my love language is communication. And to be able to sit behind a microphone, period, and reach another country, I don't know. I think that's pretty impressive that we've come this far just in life.
Well, I mean, we didn't think anybody was going to listen to us.
No, I didn't think anybody like 2 miles would listen,
we were
much
really
less
just,
Japan. What's the other country? No, I don't
we were really, well, we got Latvia and Denmark, I think, was the most recent. I don't know.
But the thing is it's just, wow, it's kind of like a reality that I'm not cultured, I'll put it that way. And it, to me, was just more exciting that someone reached out to me from Japan. It was literally in their language. I had to have AI help me communicate with this person. It was just more not like, ooh, look at me. It was just, wow, like I live a very simple life, and I haven't been anywhere really. I've been out west. That's the furthest I've been. It was just kind of like a reminder that this is kind of reaching maybe a person or two, and they're enjoying it, and they're reaching out to me. And that kind of made me want to, even if though we're not completely prepared today, we're not doing the video side of it, but we're being real today. And I think that's what we decided to do. Let's just talk about, not that we're always real, and that's something most people know about me, but there's no preparation. And I said, let's just go into this and just talk about how hard things are right now, because I think everybody's in a hard place. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I think we're all in some form of hard, whatever it may look like for you. You know, my cousin, I think I've mentioned her a time or two, April. She's currently in the hospital with her cancer journey. She's got some infection, so they are getting it under control. But it's heartbreaking to see your cousin and your best friend go through this. You know, you kind of, when people are close to you and they're sick, you kind of hurt for them.
Yeah.
And it makes it hard to find time for things that you don't have to do. And as much as I like doing this, my brain was like, well, you don't have to do it. But then I was like, no, let's do it. Because if we just now, I was upstairs cleaning my daughter's bathroom because she says, oh, I just cleaned it. And it was worse than any truck stop bathroom I've been in. I said, I've cleaned a truck stop bathroom or two in my life, and I can tell you this one's worse. So I don't know what cleaning looks like for them.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, I didn't plan on spending my evening up there with bleach is in my nostrils right now. And that's what it was going to take to clean that.
I can smell it downstairs.
I can smell it on my hands. It's on my hands right now.
Yep.
And I washed my hands multiple times.
Oh, it'll take a couple of good washes to get that out.
But I mean, we are blessed. And the one thing I want to say in a positive way, today I sat down, and I'm not even going to tell you what I've been doing all weekend, but I found some little idea, and I was like, the photographer side of me was like, I'm going to try this. Something got passed along to me, try it. And so I spent almost this whole weekend just creating little things to like try this new venture.
And with very little experience, you're pretty good at it.
Well, it's in the field of photography, and it's kind of the new way things are done. And I was like, you know, God, the only thing I do know is try.
Yeah.
Try things, and if it fails, at least you tried. But that's where I'm at in life. I spent all weekend doing that, and I had a lot of fun with it because I have a lot of this stuff already in the studio. I had some of it that was bought when I tried to do that business with my friend Holly, and I offered it back to her, and she didn't want it. So I was like, it's just been sitting there for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I was able to bring it back and play around with it. I did get a call back from one of the companies that I pitched it
Which is pretty neat.
It is neat because it's a really big company. But the point is, I don't know how promising anything like that is, but when you're in a season like this and you just are trying, like I am still a substitute teacher, but the jobs are not, they're not rolling in yet.
Too early in the year.
It's too early in the year, but I want to start. My kids are getting a little older, and I imagine I'm going to want something for myself soon, but you start fearing that may not happen. Like this world may really just be looking at me like, you're done, you're washed up. It really, because I spent this morning looking at jobs. I thought, I'm exhausted. 1 minute I'm creating these things for something that's on my own. It would be kind of my own venture. The next minute I'm looking to see if there's sub jobs available. And then the next minute I'm looking for the field of work that I'm used to, looking for jobs in HR, recruiting, or operations. And it's if you know, like looking for a job is harder than a job. It's harder than any job I've ever had. It's just a feeling of
job
exhaustion.
To look for a job.
It's exhausting, and the job market's horrible. It's just horrible right now.
Well, I mean, even though we didn't do a lot of preparation for this episode, I will throw out some scripture, and I don't know where it is, so I cannot give you chapter and verse, but, we're talking about things getting tough, and we're believers. Just because we're believers doesn't mean there's any guarantee of an easy life.
No.
The Bible tells us that the rain will fall on the just and the unjust alike.
Yeah.
So, forgive me for not having book, chapter, and verse on that, but it is in there. You can look it up. And what that means is that God isn't necessarily going to just completely protect us from, the calamity that comes in this life, because we're in the world, right?
Yeah,
we're in this world. This world is fallen.
Yeah.
What he will do, though, is he will give us spiritually what we need to sustain us through those tough times. And we've been through tough times before. I see a big difference in you and the way that you are handling it now.
Oh, good.
Versus past times in our
no,
life.
I'm saying good because I was a
Today
little
was a
bit
test,
in my
right?
head.
Yeah, today
and
was a little
you
bit
could
of a
see
test.
some of those moments come out where I just gave into it when I shouldn't have. But internally, though, I can feel it. So maybe that's what you're seeing.
The difference too is, I could tell you were being tested.
Yeah.
Right? I could hear it in your voice. I was talking to you on the way home. I could hear it in your voice that you were being tested and you were letting some of those things get in your head. By the time I got home, it was gone.
Yeah.
And that's the difference that I see in you is even a year ago,
Yeah.
you'd have just spiraled all day and maybe
Pity
for a
party.
couple of days.
Yeah.
For it.
Pity party.
Over it. Yeah. So I see that difference in you. But for the benefit of, anybody that might be listening, talk about it. What is the difference? What is different in you that that you see it, that you notice? What is different?
Well, we've been talking about it over a few episodes. It's making an effort, and I don't know if anybody else relates to this. I grew up in church my whole life, but I can honestly and shamefully admit that I haven't been applying like the fruits of the Spirit and things to my daily life. Like in my mind, I guess I just kind of thought it is simple. Like, what peace is, what love is, what
joy
is.
Yeah.
I mean, what these things are, but there's a difference in just simply knowing what they are and singing about them and applying it to your life. It actually takes effort to apply it to our life and use it. And so I have been spending more time. That app that you listen to, I try to make an effort, because not that I don't have the time, but it really is easy to put on a 15-minute app. What's it?
The app she's talking about is called First 15. It's a daily devotional app that's got roughly 5 minutes of devotional, roughly 5 minutes of guided prayer, and then 5 minutes or so of worship at the end. I listen to it as well. Usually I try to pop it in, when I leave the racetrack in the morning on the way to work, I turn it on, and by the time I hit 285, it's pretty much over.
He's got an addiction to racetrack.
It's just my routine.
No, I know. I'm saying, I think about me and my little things that I have, but you, because I've offered to buy the things that you get at racetrack, and you're like, no, I like but it just shows that we all have our little comfort.
We're creatures of habit. That's all it is.
But the app has helped me, because even this morning, Millie was at the table, and I was like, I'm going to play it while she's at the table. She can hear it too. I want to be an example and let those words manifest in her before she goes to school, because to be honest, growing up, my mom did a really wonderful job of taking us to church. Even when my dad wasn't going, she took us. But one thing that I felt like wasn't really in our home growing up was, it was like when we came home from church, it kind of stopped there. I know my mom lived a good life and she prayed and stuff, but there was no really discussion or praying together. I mean, none of that really existed in the home. So I think I just kind of grew up living that way too. Go to church, get the fuel tank filled up.
Yeah.
And then when you go home, whatever's thrown at you, and I will say, if somebody else out there, maybe this is happening to you and you are kind of like me, you didn't realize it. You're just going through life and you're going to church and you're doing whatever you feel like you should do. You're taking care of your kids. You're faithful to your spouse. You're paying your offerings. You're volunteering in church. But every time something comes your way, that would be the test, I think, where you should ask yourself, how are you handling that? And if it's like freaking out every time, losing control, you might want to stop, because I'm simply saying it because I did it, and it sounds so ignorant in a lot of ways, but it's easier to happen than you think. I started realizing, Alexis, how often do you pick up your Bible? Yeah. How often do you actually start your morning in prayer? Those things started really showing up that, not much. So when the storms would come, what would I do? My mental health would go basically to crap, and I would just spiral, like you said, sometimes for days at a time.
Well, and so, to your point about, your parents, your mom was good about making sure I went to church every Sunday, and probably Wednesdays, I'm guessing too.
Yeah, Wednesdays.
But at home, it didn't make it back home. For me, I didn't go to church when I was a kid. My parents didn't take me. So I didn't grow up with it in the home at all. You at least grew up in the home with it, with some semblance of importance, but both of us brought that into this marriage, right? Yeah. And it was a tough thing for us to, and we haven't really even done a stellar job with it even now, but we're doing better than we did in the past, to bring that into our home, because we do what we're taught, right?
Yeah, it's the nurture.
Whether we want to or not, in a lot of ways, we become our parents, right?
Yeah. So and we don't have bad parents. This is not a blame session on our parents, but I'm sure one day my kids are going to have something to say, and if that's growth for them, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right about that, though. It is kind of a learned behavior.
And the bad thing is we've even acknowledged it to each other.
Yeah.
And there have been times where, you would come to me and I wouldn't be in a headspace to get on board with it, and vice versa. I would come to you about it and you wouldn't be in a headspace to get on board with, why aren't we doing this stuff in the home? I think we finally have both gotten to a headspace where, we're trying to normalize it for ourselves so we can normalize it for our kids.
Well, you start seeing your kids, especially as they get older, you start seeing patterns of behavior that mimic us.
Yeah.
And I see some of that anxiety and some of that giving into fear, and that, especially in Millie with school and stuff. And it's like this big,
yeah.
Like, how much of this is learned and how much of it is, nature versus nurture kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, one thing though that I will say is with Savannah, I know she and Seth do Bible studies together.
Yeah, I know we didn't do that.
I'll go up in her room sometimes, and she's sitting on the bed reading the Bible, or try to wake her up, in the morning at 11:30 in the morning when she sleeps. I go in her room.
That's early. When did you see her wake up at 11:30?
No, I'm trying to wake her up at 11:30 to no avail. But I'll go in her room and she's dead asleep, but there's her Bible on her bed next to her. So, I mean, at least I think she falls asleep.
I made a little TikTok one day about it because I went in her room and that was her note. She had a notebook, so I know she reads it.
She reads and takes notes.
I made a little thing that, like, this is when you walk into your kid's room and you see this, you feel a sense of you're proud of them.
Yeah.
And she did it the other day. I thought, wait a minute, she's not studying. School hasn't started back yet. And I looked down and she had her Bible at the dining, and she took it out there this morning. And the thing about that is, I will honestly say I did not do that at that age. I relied on church and conferences. And so what happened is, I would go to church and it would feel good. They'd sometimes play that song like 15 times to get you riled up. This is Pentecostal church I grew up in, and they know how to get you going.
Oh yeah, they get you dancing, and then people will be rolling around on the floor.
Yeah, because it is a feel good. It felt good.
Yeah.
But the reality is I'd go home and it's like that feeling kind of subsided. And I mean,
you could ride that. You could ride that wave for maybe a day or two.
Yeah.
And then hopefully, if you could ride it from Sunday to Wednesday and then go back on, midweek service and catch it again. But,
But I wanted to go back, even though it's
never was anything deep and solid. But go ahead. Sorry.
It's kind of random, but we're just doing a random thing today. Anyway.
Stream of consciousness
but
today.
No, when you said how we were raised, you were not raised in church at all because your whole dad's side of the family is Catholic.
Right.
And so they practice, but he doesn't.
Right.
And then your mom was raised, what, Baptist? And she didn't
Yeah.
really practice. They married together and nothing was really practiced in the home. And it was a girlfriend that took you to church. But I asked you one day, what made you really, truly believe? Because, see, I was raised in church and I just kind of did believe. But I was like, what is it, as someone that was basically atheist, you didn't believe at all. So that's
Right.
an atheist,
Right.
What was it that made you, and I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but you told me that story about the girl. I thought maybe you could share that.
There's a couple of things, and they all happened in pretty quick succession to each other. I cannot talk tonight. So we were going to a rather large Pentecostal church in Marietta, Mount Perrin North.
Yeah.
And it's Pentecostal and it's Church of God, but it's not like Church of God of Prophecy that you grew up in and that we went to for so many years. And I was very new to the faith. Actually, at this point, I was not. I was still atheist. I was just going to church because I had a girlfriend. I was going with her. But we're in Mount Perrin North, and we're sitting up in the upper balcony, and the preacher's preaching, whatever, and there was somebody in the lower section chanting or talking, or I thought just translating for people that spoke some kind of African or Middle Eastern language, right? I didn't know what was going on. It's like, I didn't even ask the question. I just heard it, and I was like, okay, cool. They have translators in here. All right, so sometime later, and I don't have times or dates or whenever, how much time passed before this happened, that church had like a tent revival, and we went to this tent revival, and I'm in there, and I'm in there, with some friends, and I hear a whole bunch of people talking like that. And I'm just looking around, and this in my ignorance and naivete, I'm looking around and I'm like, I don't see anybody in here, like a very large number of people in this room that look like they would speak a language that sounds like what I'm hearing. I'm thinking like Swahili or Arabic or something like that. I mean, obviously I can't understand it. I'm looking around, I'm like, there's a lot of people in here that look like me. I don't see a lot of people that I would think would speak a foreign language like this. Still didn't understand it. Still didn't ask a question. Nobody really explained it to me until after this all happened. But in this tent revival, a few feet away from me, this young girl, she couldn't have been any older than 14. Probably older middle school, and might have been 80 pounds soaking wet. Made this just awful sound, like this just inhuman sound, and threw herself down on the pavement. It was a tent revival. They were doing it in the parking lot, so it was asphalt underneath.
Wow.
Threw herself down on this asphalt underneath, on the floor, and started kicking and punching from the floor. It took 4 grown men to hold her down while somebody came over and prayed, and they pushed a lot of people away. And I asked people, I was like, what's going on? Oh, it looks like she's probably demon possessed. I'm like, what? Like, yeah, what? Just don't get too close. They were trying to back us all away from it. But anyway, that, and then that happened. The revival ended for that night. And as we were leaving, I said, okay, explain to me this language that I'm hearing. I told them what I told y'all is I don't see people around here that look like they would speak that language. Yes, I was profiling racially. That's bad, I guess. But I don't see people that look like they would speak this, what I'm hearing, the type of language. And they said, oh, that's speaking in tongues. I said, what is that? What is speaking in tongues? Anyway, so they explained all of that to me, what speaking in tongues was. And it was, I think that was the first night of the revival. I think it went 3 or 4 nights, whatever. But that first night really is where I was like, okay, there is something more to, there are things going on in the world that I can't see. There are spiritual things happening around me that I am not privy to. And that was really when I started to realize, okay, it's not just we die, we turn into dirt, and we turn into worm food, right? Like I believed as an atheist. And by the end of that revival, I had made the decision to give my life to Jesus. Not out of fear of what I saw, a young girl demon possessed, or not out of necessarily wonderment of speaking in tongues, but just because things were being, throughout that revival, more and more things were being revealed to me, and I guess my heart was open to it, that there is something more than just what I can see and hear and taste and touch and smell with my five senses or whatever, that there's more going on. Right.
Yeah.
And that's, I was 17 at the time. So, and, through 30 years later, here I still am, and it's only gotten more and more and more real to me as time has gone on. And I'm a very analytical person, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to analyze something to death. I want to know everything about how something works, right? You've seen me. I take apart everything I own because I want to know what makes it tick. I've done that since I was a kid. And I do that with belief systems and thoughts too. So if I was going to find fault in this, I would have already done it. If I was going to dissect my faith, I would have done that and found flaws if there were flaws to find.
You remember that guy that came, it happened twice, but at our own church years ago, that Dave Dawson guy, he came and did the whole presentation on science versus religion or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was pretty awesome. And then that church we went to years ago to visit did it. And I was like, if you've never listened to one of those, that was very informational too. Like, learning about, so many people are like, oh, well, the Big Bang did this or this caused it. No, that he just did a really good job of explaining how, no, this is why that's not true. And
yeah,
I just remember that. I would like to have him. I don't know where he is in life right now, but come on here and talk about it.
We'd have to dig him up from somewhere. I don't know where he's at, but
I mean, on a simple level, I don't even know how we really got here, but
rabbit trails, right?
Yeah, well,
it's okay.
For you, that's where we were so different. I was raised like, this is real. And I just said, okay, it is. But then I had to find my own way. And I started just paying more attention to things like the way, it's simple things, but not simple. Like the way the moon controls the tide, the way a woman carries a baby perfectly in her womb. I just thought, are we really just choking this up to Mother Nature and like trees and all this stuff that people's theories with Big Bang, it wasn't the ark. I just feel like, in some way, like it's more believable and simple to believe in the Bible and that God did all of this to me than all these other theories out there.
Yeah.
But the biggest part about it is, if you're on this mission to like, well, I need to know, I guess the advice that I would give somebody honestly would be, it's something that happens in your heart. So it might sound ignorant, but it kind of starts with just, okay, God, I've heard so many stories lately, more than ever, where people have just said, I don't know if it was the Angel Network I was watching some of this on, but it's a lot of those near-death experiences, and you know me, I've read so many of those books.
Yeah.
And this guy was like, I just kind of was like one day asking God, you're distracting me, I'm sorry.
Okay.
He's got tics or something where he shakes his leg, and I'm very distracted. What was I saying?
You're talking about something you watched on Angel.
Yeah, and this guy, though, was saying, I can't remember. Squirrel.
Yeah.
I was so into that, too. You really distracted me.
Well,
with that.
I'm sorry.
What was I saying?
You were talking about the show on Angel about near-death experiences. Really about that. Well, there's something someone was talking about. We'll come back to it when you remember, because you will. But anyways, we have gone down a rabbit hole for sure. But back to what we started talking about is, it's been a trying week, right? It's been since our last episode. It's just been not like many.
Oh, well, I remember it. I have to say it now.
Here we go.
But he was saying, he was saying like, okay, God, I don't really believe this. This guy was in a really bad accident, and he experienced what he said was hell. He said he was being pulled to this dark place. It was awful. It was enough for him to say, okay, I totally believe this now. I want to believe this. Show me. And he asked, kind of in maybe an ignorant way, I want to believe in you. I just don't know how and stuff. And from a simple level, just ask God that. And like, some people may be like, well, that sounds so silly. Well, I guess my suggestion would be to someone who's just really trying to venture into this, but is looking for more of like some kind of like big old sign. It's just kind of an intimacy that you might find in your bedroom, or you might find in your closet or in your living room. It's just something you call out and ask God. It really kind of starts with just that, truly just inviting him in. And if you truly want to know, hey, I don't understand this kind of thing, you know, I don't know how we really ventured into that, but I think everything happens for a reason. You don't know. Somebody might need to hear that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, one thing people have said to me when I was younger, and I would suggest that anybody that's new to the faith I would suggest that you avoid this. I think this was not the best advice that was given, but I was told in my spiritual infancy, fake it till you make it.
My sister hates that saying.
I am not a fan of that either.
And
when I was younger, you know, it sounded like good advice. Oh, well, I want to believe, so I'll just pretend I believe until I believe, is what it came across to me. And looking back, I'm like, that's terrible advice.
Yeah.
That's awful advice. Because what that does, actually, it almost encourages you to be deceitful about what you believe.
Yeah.
I think it's better to say, look, I want to believe, but I don't believe, you know.
Yeah. Just be transparent about it.
Yeah.
With God, because if you're wanting to believe, then you're starting with just, hey, God, okay, I don't know, but you just show me and see what happens. Because there's so many stories like that.
Who are you fooling?
Yeah.
You know, who you might fake it and you might fool other people. You're not fooling God, right? He knows. He knows if you really believe or not.
But I think the most special thing that I'm learning as I've gotten older is like, for the most part, for years, it was just, I believed I didn't want to go to hell. But when I say that our time on earth it's short, but it can feel long to us as humans. And it can be taxing. And that's kind of what we were talking about in the beginning, is how hard this is.
Yeah.
And life is, it pulls you in so many different directions, and it labels you. Like, we are labeled by what we do. You meet someone new, and what do they ask you? What do you do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, please don't ask me that right now in my life. But it's like, we're just in some really, really difficult times.
Yeah. I want to touch on something you just said, though, because you said, you know, when you were younger, you fear was a motivator in your belief. You didn't want to go to hell, right?
Yeah.
It was a fear motivated faith. Now, do you still believe that way, or do you still think that way? Is it still more of a fear motivation or a love motivation?
No, that was just more maybe at first. But I mean, like, as I get older, I'm just learning more and more about things from being exhausted, going through things and trying to figure things out on my own, or spiraling because of my mental health. And I finally just got to this place. And when I stop and say, God, why haven't you opened up these doors that I'm trying to, you know, open for my family and help my family out better? I feel like God has continuously shown me, because you desire and you have prayed to me that you don't know what's really entirely wrong, or there's things missing in your life. And I've prayed simply that, show me what I don't know, or help me understand what I don't know. And he has shown me all these things. Like, you know, we read about idols, not to have idols in our life. Well, did you know, like, an idol can be your spouse?
Yeah.
An idol can be your job. Your title at your job could be an idol. And we are making idols out of things in our life. And I guess there was a part of me that was making idols out of maybe people and even things in my life. And what's happening is you kind of are miserable and you don't know why. And I was like, well, I'm a Christian, so I shouldn't be miserable. But I was, because knowing God and going to church and being afraid of hell is just simply not enough.
Yeah.
It's not. It might get you to heaven, but it's not enough to sustain you here when you go through that loss, or when you get that diagnosis. Like, well, what's carrying you through this stuff?
If your faith is based on a fear of you know, hell, a fear of being separated from God eternally, I don't want to step on any toes by saying this, but I think that's a pretty weak faith.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
It's fire insurance faith. All right. And that doesn't mean you don't believe. I'm not, don't mistake me for saying, fire insurance isn't like, well, I'm going to go to church and I'm going to say I believe in God just in case. Cause I don't, if it is real, I don't want to go there. But the fullness of relationship with Jesus is not found in fear.
No.
It's found in love and communion with him, right? It's found and I think, we're both seeing it more now that, we've really changed our focus. I can see it in you. I don't know if you see it in me, but I see a difference in you in the way you react, because I think because your relationship with Jesus is more, it's more communal. It's not a relationship developed from fear. Mm-hmm. Now it's a relationship that's rooted in communion and love.
Well,
right?
My reaction from fear, if you've noticed, is anger.
Yeah.
I walk around angry, and then I'm looking for like the world to blame, or people to blame, or you to blame, or my parents.
I think we brought that up a few weeks ago.
Blame anybody because I'm angry. I didn't like that, like some of the feelings. But what I've been doing lately is I can't stand crying, but I've just been kind of like mourning things that I never mourned before, because I was just trying to pretend like it wasn't real in my life. Or it's okay to feel sad about things, but for whatever reason, I just would push that emotion to the side. It felt weak. I didn't like the way it felt, so I was constantly angry. And I can tell you that expressing emotion in crying is just, it's a real feeling that actually heals you. I think there's healing in crying, but I was turning to anger, and I would just stay in that place for a long time and escalate into worse places. And this was just going on, and it wasn't complete ignorance. When I got saved, like what I would call saved, where I asked God and chose to believe it for myself, I was 8 years old. Yeah. And I would go into my bedroom, and I remember I'm a child, so I had childlike faith, which we should still have that. And I would say, God, I just love you so much. I just need you to come in here. I just want to see you, because I was so happy. And I knew just by simply asking him into my heart, I didn't know all the things I was going to go through in life yet. I didn't know all the levels of maturing I would need to do spiritually. But even in those moments, I knew how real he was, because when I asked him into my heart, and I would go home in my bedroom at night when everybody would go to bed, and I would just weep and cry and pray, because something changed. Yeah. And I can remember an 8-year-old, that change that happened when I simply asked Jesus into my heart. The struggle has really been lately has just been not applying those fruits of the Spirit, allowing joy and peace and love and all these things to really be kind of like the tools in my toolbox.
I think if we say we follow Jesus, but we don't practice the fruit of the Spirit, we don't practice Philippians 4:8, thinking about good and wonderful things. If we don't do those things, we're not really setting our mind on the things that Jesus wants us to set our mind on, right? And when we do that, we're not setting our mind on those things. What's going to happen? Our mind is open to the things of this world to come in, like arrows being shot at us from right and left, right? And if your brain is not trained to think about the things of God, it will think about the things of this world. It's kind of like going to
the gym. I went to the park earlier because I was like, I wanted to run off some steam of stress or whatever from this whole thing. And
you're running up a giant hill.
Yeah, I was running up a hill in 90-something degrees. But when I go there, I have no off switch. And I just don't know how to stop. But that's what I chose to do today. But I told you, I'm like, it's perimenopause. I should be right in the middle of something and mess up. But I do think that just overall, like this week it just started, and last week, I know how I would have reacted and how I did react this same time last year. I mean, I can tell you there's a difference. I feel even a difference. Has my life changed? In some ways, I'm like, it's still the same. I'm sick over it, God. But like to have that internal change, it's a celebration for me because I look at my everything different. I look at the way my house different. I look at my kids different. I just feel like I got so tired. I'm going to tell you, if you haven't been through anything yet, like there are people walking this world that has not experienced things yet. They haven't experienced that diagnosis or that loss. When that first hardball comes to you, and I'm not dismissing things like, your house falling apart or you lost your job. Those are real things and they are hard. But I'm talking like when something comes your way that is like you cannot prepare yourself for, that loss of a loved one or that diagnosis that is life-changing.
Yeah.
Or something happening to your children. I mean, I'm saying those are the things that make you stop in your tracks and say, well, I guess, this title at my job and all these things that I thought were making me happy, these 100 vacations I'm taking a year is not really going to carry me through that.
Right.
So what is carrying people? I'm just curious because I feel like I just absolutely, now that I know God and I apply God to my life, I don't know how people are doing this without him. What is it? Your car? Is it your title? I'm curious.
Well, I think a lot of that is a lot of those people they're chasing the next thing.
Yeah, they're chasing something.
But
because I was doing that even as a Christian. So I'm saying we're all alike. We're living in a world full of sin, and just really quickly, like this thing on the news. Well, what is it? The woman that killed her kids. I mean, you're like, who? There's like kind of a few of them, but
what's her name? I don't remember.
Lindsay Clancy.
Okay,
but see, I talked about her a little bit on my TikTok months ago when I heard about it. This woman, and the reason why, if you don't know who she is, I'll just very quick. She is a mother. She was a nurse, like a labor delivery nurse. She was married. She went on to have 3 kids, and she strangled all 3 of her kids with workout bands. And so her trial has started, and there's this huge uproar about, well, she had psychosis, postpartum psychosis.
Yeah.
And so her trial has started, and there is just almost overwhelming amount of information. And so she has a whole speculation, but she has this whole, like, her husband's not even on trial, but there's this whole massive following of people like, he did it because she heard voices. She said, and I've heard this from a lot of women. This stuff really matters to me too, because I am a woman, and there is a part of my heart that's like, why do we have to go through so much? You can go ahead and roll your eyes, but I can talk to the women on this and say, why? Let's just be honest. Why do we have to go through so much hormonally, and we have to carry so much on our backs? And I think that's what's happening, is bringing all these women out of the woodwork. And some people are saying, well, she heard voices. She said she heard an audible voice, male voice, telling her to kill her children. That was her last chance. So everyone's just like, well, that was definitely her husband. Well, I'm like, well, have we thought about being possessed? Have we thought about just she's on 15,000 medicines
and
that
not
weren't
even
monitored?
necessarily possession, but oppression. You can be spiritually oppressed, but not necessarily possessed.
But I think that there's a whole big following she has too that says, I went through that and it's horrible. I know how she feels. And now these women probably didn't strangle their children.
Right.
But the reason why they're supporting her, I think they're screaming out from a place of, I went through something so bad though, that even though I didn't do that, they can feel this woman's pain. Because now I just started watching some of the trial because I keep hearing so many things.
Yeah.
And granted, I don't know either, but I don't look at a woman and see someone who woke up one day and just said, I don't want to be a mom. I'm going to kill all my dang kids. Now, did she do it? She did. And it's just horrible. Those children are the innocent ones here. But speaking from a place that your mind can go to when you are just thrown into overwhelmed, you don't, especially as a woman, she's like, didn't want to go back to work, but kind of like a lot of us kind of needed to.
Yeah.
And she was struggling with, I've got an 8-month-old, a 3-year-old, and a 5-year-old, and didn't want to go back to work. And it was like, in one hand, I'm so angry, like, who in the world would ever do that to their children? But then I'm like those other women, like, did it just get that bad? And then she was so failed on the medicine side, where you've seen me on medicines that weren't monitored. I was told recently, one of my doctors said, what medicines have you been on? And she asked me, why were you on that one? Don't say the name of it. And I said, just because.
Well, I know some of those medicines. She
said that was the strongest one on the market.
Some of the medicines you were on when it was getting into your system,
Yeah.
You were having hallucinations.
Horrible hallucinations.
And coming off of it.
Seeing dead people. I saw dead people
coming
walking
off
around
of
our
it,
house, and I was asking
were having
you, who is
hallucinations.
that long black-haired woman walking around our house? And you're like, what?
Yeah.
It was awful. So there is that part of me that is like, God, there's no telling what all was brewing in her. But the point is there's a part of me, it's like this woman had a career, maybe a career I even wanted at one time. And she had a husband that was successful and these beautiful children. Like, you're so torn between, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Well, why would she do that? What's going on in there? Did she have Jesus in her life?
Don't know.
First of all, like,
Can't imagine she did, but
yeah,
but we don't know.
But the point is, it's just like walking around and feeling like you're alone in whatever you're going through. I do feel like at least there's more than there was when I went through some of that. There's more information now, and there's a little more help than there was then. There were times that I really thought I'm probably the only person going through this. Like, there is nobody that sees dead people walking around. There's nobody that sees spiders coming from the ceiling. I kept a lot of it to myself because of shame. So at least I'm saying that even though I'm way past those stages, I at least realized, wow, had I known that this is not a certain type of person's, this is just something that's happening in your mind, or like if she had psychosis, if that truly is something that she had that caused all of this. It's just bringing a lot of people out of the woodworks, because I think it's opening a lot of wounds. It's opening a lot of people's heart to how hard this can be to go through these things.
Yeah, it is. It's tough to go through stuff. I mean, and the thing about it is, if, as you said before, if you're not grounded in Jesus, what are you grounded in? You know, the long and the short of it, you know, when times are good, seek Jesus. When times are bad, seek Jesus, right? Regardless of the situation, just seek after him. Because,
you know, like you said, that you've seen a difference in me. We didn't get some type of inheritance.
No.
I didn't get some phone call for a job. If anything, I'm pumping money into things. It's like, when is this going to change? But the fact is, I've changed.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, I'm a Christian, but there was just so many things I was trying to figure out myself. I was trying to go through grief all on my own. You saw what that led me to.
Yep.
Why wasn't I allowing this Jesus that I know and I do believe in, why wasn't I giving him more credit to get me through some of these things? And even though I'm ashamed and I'm maybe just was spiritually immature, that when push came to shove or whatever, that I felt like this is just too painful, and I would pray, but I just didn't surrender. That's where the problem was. I didn't surrender.
Right.
And true surrender is where I'm at now. I've truly surrendered. And what's happened is I'm waking up and I don't know what next month's going to look like. And I wouldn't go as far as saying I don't care, but I don't care. Because your mom, I talked to your mom today. She's going through her own treatments with cancer and stuff, but hers is a little different. And she had good news today that they've reduced her. She's been very sick on her treatments. And
you didn't tell me that part.
I meant to. But
my own mom didn't tell me.
At one point, and this is not to throw her under the bus, because I think a lot of your mom, but she mentioned too, she's like, well, you know, because she was a teacher back in the day, did her 30 years,
she's
retired
a baby
at
boomer.
50. She's got her retirement that she's getting so much more out of than she put in it.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm hearing. Well, if you ain't got any of those things in the bank, stocks and pensions, and too late now, it would have been easy. You know me, months ago, I would have just accepted that as that is my fate.
Yeah.
I'm done. I have nothing.
And it probably knocked your feet out from under you a little bit.
It did.
Today.
But then I realized, you know what?
But you picked yourself
It is
back
what
up.
it is. Like, you know how many people are in this world just barely trying to get by? Yeah. It's a difference, and you just put one foot in front of the other, regardless of where you are. There's people that had everything and lost everything. Yeah. I'm not going to put my hopes into what's in my bank account.
Well, and your response to her, though, you know,
sorry. I'm sorry.
Sure, just take a big swig of it and spit it all over the mic. Your response to her in that conversation, though, was, what did you say? That, look, my dad was in his 50s and our house was
my
on the
dad
auction
is my
block.
biggest example. And I have a friend that tells me all the time, she's like, when I struggle, I just think of Dwayne. Because my dad went through, when I say I was on a roller coaster all my life, on the financial roller coaster, that's the truth. I mean, I lived in a modular home when I was little, and then we moved into a 6,000 square foot home where we all had our own bathroom to almost losing that. I'm saying it was everywhere.
Yeah.
But in his 50s, my dad, we're going to talk about that on a whole different episode, but in his 50s, he was out of work. He was paying his employees with a second mortgage. I was working for him at this time, but my job also just looked like driving around town with no budget, no marketing budget, and
no marketing experience.
No, yeah. I mean, I had experience, but I didn't. You knew me. I hated that stuff.
Yeah.
And I would just type letters. I would create brochures on no budget.
Mm-hmm.
I went and knocked on doors in industrial parks.
But the long and the short of it is that in his 50s, your dad, between his 50s and the time that he went to be with Jesus, I mean, it turned
around a millionfold.
Yeah.
It just turned
from having
his
no
house
retirement.
was on the auction block, and we're not talking about he ran his business out of it. So this was not just some little small house like we have.
Yeah.
This was going to be a big loss. A house that he built for his family, on 5 acres of land, 6,000 square feet, with his business running out of it.
Yeah.
And he had nothing in the bank. You want to talk about pensions? He didn't even have a penny.
But what we know from that is that
turned it around.
The story doesn't have to be, you don't have a retirement account or pensions.
You're done. Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, you're done. Well, not
because
necessarily.
the world is going to look at your bank account and say you're 44, you're done.
Because we serve God that created the universe, right? Right. He owns the cattle of 1,000 hills.
I'm sure he can handle our 3-bedroom.
Yeah, if he wants to provide for us, we don't have to worry. He will provide for us.
The point is if we want to go through life just worrying, okay, if it's not your finances, it might be that diagnosis. You just got diagnosed with a debilitating autoimmune disease that you're going to have the rest of your life.
Yep.
Or, God forbid, cancer, because
Yep.
we have loved ones that's got cancer right now.
A lot of them.
You got diabetes, or you're losing your vision or something. Like, okay, well, so what? You got a ton of money in your bank account, but is it going to pull you through those things?
Right. Yeah, like I said earlier, we are not promised an easy life just because we follow God. The rain falls on the just and the unjust.
Yeah.
Just to bring it full circle, the hard times are going to come. That's guaranteed.
And there are some people that go through more than others. We are having Miracle, month? We're having the time of year where our pastor does his sermons on miracles, and there's a 21-day fast that he does, and they have services, like they break it up morning and evening. And they had one miracle service yesterday and told a story of a guy that was healed in like the West, the overflow.
Yeah, our overflow auditorium called the West.
Room, and the guy shared his testimony on the screen. But our pastor had to talk about that, because if you're sitting there, because this could be me if I wanted it to. You're sitting there like, well, I prayed for my loved one, and they didn't make it. And he has to talk. He talks about that so wise, though.
What he says is that, there are times that God heals in the moment.
He always heals, but it's different.
Right.
Different
he always
forms.
heals. There are times that he heals in the moment, like he did with the gentleman that told his story on the screen, where he got a new liver. Essentially, God gave him a new liver. He was in cirrhosis.
Yeah, he was in stage 4 cirrhosis.
Yeah, there are times that God heals over a period of time. Sometimes by creating circumstances that seem impossible and putting you in front of the right doctor, that kind of thing. And then, as Pastor Van likes to say, sometimes he says, "My grace is sufficient," and the healing comes in.
And we
eternity.
are all going to pass, though. Even if you are one of those that are healed, and you go way down the road and you get something else and you pass away, he kind of used Lazarus as an example. I mean, he was dead, and he said, "Lazarus, come out," and they were like, "Ooh, he stinks, don't have him come out." And he came out and he was completely fine. But Lazarus went on, I don't know how long later, but he still passed away.
It doesn't record the day he died, but he was risen from the dead, and then one day he died.
Because we are all going to face it. And so, I mean, I've heard of stories, I just don't want to name names, where someone's like, angel visited me, I've got my healing, and this person passed away less than a year later. And I sometimes I just think, God, I don't understand that at all. But I think that's an example of his healing is going to look different. When he said he healed you, it didn't mean till you're 99 years old. It might have just meant for another 6 months or something,
Yeah.
But if you allow yourself to hold bitterness and harbor anger because your friend got that healing and you didn't, or that person has a great job and financial status, like you don't want to go through life being bitter and angry at people that maybe have that healing and you don't, because we live in a world where it's easy to do that. It's easy to envy what other people have, whether it be a healing financially or a healing medically. And I mean, the only advice I can really give is like almost go into like it's a die to yourself thing. That's just the best way. You have to almost just completely die to everything you know of yourself and try to do yourself. And it's like, just give it all, surrender it to God.
That's right. That's that surrender you were talking about earlier. You get to a point where you just like, you know what? I can't worry about it. I can't care. God, it all belongs to you
but
anyway.
But if Satan likes to use fear on you, because that's what he likes to use on me, he'll be, oh, well, what about this? And I could just be going down the road and hear well, what if you get this? Or what if this happens? What are you going to do? And it would stop me in my tracks. But now I'm just like, what if? And I mean it. I attack it with, if that comes over my mind, well, what if?
That's right.
What if? And I truly mean it, because it's like, you are not going to keep me captive my whole life over what if. That's just fear.
Yeah.
And fear is always harder to live in, I think, than the moment. I have faced things. I can honestly tell you that fear was always worse than the actual outcome of whatever I feared.
Every time.
Every time.
Yep. That's right. Well, our stream of consciousness talk is I don't know if it produced anything worth listening to or not.
I mean, that's what podcasts are, really. They're just people sharing whatever they're sharing. We're not on here to be, clearly.
Yeah.
We're not experts. We're not therapists. We're not pastors. So I think we're just here to be super real and genuine.
Just sharing our experiences, right?
And when people reach out to me and they're like, you're so open, maybe sometimes I might be too much. You're so open that this made me want to share this with you. It makes me realize a lot of us are carrying things because we think nobody else in this world would understand. And it's just simply showing, if anything, if I just show one person, I went through this and you were going through it, you were suffering in silence. If that touched one person, just not for me to have credit, but for me to say, I went through something and I was dumb enough to share it on here to like, God knows how many people. But if one person said, but I was going through this and I was suffering in silence, then to me, that's what matters.
Yeah, it's worth it. If even one person hears any of the ramblings from any of our episodes and is touched by it, and you know, God uses whatever comes out of our mouths to reach somebody, then it's worth it. I mean, we're not doing this for any other reason than to be cathartic for ourselves, but
because it takes our time, and we have to pay for this platform we're on. We are not some like high up there podcasters. We just genuinely enjoy doing this together. We're both kind of in a season of reinvention. We're in the middle of it.
I need a bell every time one of us says it. I'll ring the bell.
But you know what? The reason why you need a bell is because how many times we were on that hike, I'll just end my part on this. We're on that hike and we were really new to podcasting, and we had this new hiking group, and I was like, God, I just don't know. I suffer with so many things, like what do people think about me, and what if I sound really dumb on here? I'm not a Bible scholar. I was like, I don't know what it's going to look like. I just need some kind of like confirmation that this is okay to do it, that like I have the confidence or the ability to just do this. And we were walking, and I told you, I was like, dang it, I wanted you to be back there. This woman, it wasn't just once. I think it was, how many times did I say she said it right in a row? She said it
a handful of times.
A handful of times. She was like, and you know, I just told her I'm in the middle of it. And when she said, I said, how do you thrive in the middle of something? I said, we all thrive in the middle of it. And I am not kidding you. This woman said in the middle of it so many times that I finally felt like it was like God slapping me in the face. And just that little wink, you can laugh at or you can make fun of me. But to me, it was really what I needed to say. Laugh about this in the car when you tell Will. Yeah. But it was just that little bit of, go do it. Go do in the middle of it with keep your podcast going, because we're only like one episode or two in at that point.
Yeah, we hadn't done much at that point. All right, well, I think we've said all we can say for this one, right?
Go on more,
I know you can go forever. All right, well, let's close it out in prayer. You want to pray this one out? Okay. No? You want me to? All right.
I can.
Well, go ahead.
Father, we just pray for those out there that are listening that may just be struggling with their mental health or a diagnosis or they may just simply not be surrendering to you, Lord. Help them to understand surrender, and that you love them beyond just your existence, Lord, but you have peace to offer them, and joy and love, and all your capacity to take care of us beyond what we think that you can. Open our hearts, Lord, and humble us before you, and we just give the rest of this week to you, and we give you all the glory. In your name, Jesus, amen.
Amen.